Now, how cool is this? We have Miss Megan, it says Chris Hitchko on there, but she's just on our other Zoom account. She did something remarkable, and she passed the CSCS, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, right here. She went through our program Monday and Thursday. Now, Megan, let's talk about the exam.
Yeah.
How many YouTubes did you watch to pass the CSCS?
Of ours?
Of anyone's out there. Did you go check out all these things?
No, I didn't have any.
How many guides did you have? Guides?
Only ours, the show up one.
What most people do is how to pass the CSCS. You're going to come across movement guide, sports people over here, and they tell you to go through the whole entire fucking textbook, read it. Takes you 6 months. Sometimes they'll say a year if you don't have an exercise-related degree. Now, here is some fun stuff. Megan, badass athlete, Pepperdine superstar, doesn't have the most reliable knees, but that's another story. Is your degree in kinesiology?
No,
No.
sports.
So, sports administration.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a background in kinesiology. She's gone through the show up internship. She's our NASM instructor, which is a joke, but that's what she can get anyone to pass that. Pass the CSCS. How long did it take you?
Like if we count like days and hours, probably like a good 2 weeks where I was fully invested into it. And then for a month, like actually being on the calls and everything.
So we're looking at a 6-week period that she invested and she passed the exam. She was very diligent being on the classes on Monday with Barack, 2:00 California time, Thursday with me. But what we're doing with our level 3 advanced programming is, the thing with the CSCS is you need a college degree. In 2030, it's going to be specific to kinesiology. I don't think that's fair. I'm the dick on the internet, and I'm the one who challenges the whole industry. And I still think that the CSCS is legitimate, but the elephant in the room is how many hours of applied power, internship, sport-specific learnings did you go through? None. There isn't anything out there. So you could follow one of these guys out there or girls and you pass the CSCS and you know what the fuck you're doing. Megan does. She is a legitimate strength coach. People will see, oh, they have their CSCS, they know what they're doing. Absolutely not. We have an internship. We teach people how to move properly, to regress and progress for general pop. And we've had CSCS coaches come to our internship and they're watching these trainers and they're like, wow, I need to learn how to deadlift. Oh, I wasn't doing this exercise right. They have their CSCS, but they have no clue on what to do. I would say the strength and conditioning world is just as bad as the personal training world. Why are you so negative? No, the whole industry needs a change. 6 weeks is what it takes. But she did something that's really special. I'm talking a lot right now, and I can't wait for the comments. You guys are going to be saying a bunch of great stuff. So negative, but his biceps are so big. Come on, chill out. One of the coolest things about this is that she listened exactly what we said. Megan can vouch for everyone in the NASM. It's hilarious because, well, I got this guide and I got this guy. I got the pocket prep. I got this and I got all of this shit. And it's too much information. Example I like to give is we're in college, back in the good old days, and you got to take fucking poli-sci. And you're like, ugh, this has nothing to do with my future career. Absolutely nothing. I want to pass this as quickly as possible. So imagine going to the professor and say, hey, doc, don't like your class, but I need to pass this. So what am I going to do? What do I need to focus on? They're going to give you the whole textbook and say, do this, spend the whole semester focusing on it. But you come across me, I'm in the back drinking some whiskey, having a good old time. Say, hey, buddy, come over here. Focus on this chapter, read this. Don't worry about that shit. You're not going to be tested on it. Do this, watch this again, go over this call, do this. Focus. You'll pass it. Maybe a week or two, and then you pass it. I'm not saying the stuff in the CSCS is bad. No, there is some decent information. There's still a lot of flaws. Really focused on linear periodization, where's the hands-on learning, getting into the right internship. We interview strength coaches. I know you didn't get on here to hear me talk about it and go on a rant. You want to hear Megan, but I just wanted to set those expectations. You can pass the CSCS with our guide and our classes easily within 3 months. 2 months is what our Monday and Thursday class, but we offer more and we get you to think outside of the box. So who was your athlete that you designed programs for?
Did tennis, soccer, and I think I didn't do a program, but I also did the bioenergetics for like football and everything.
So but you take an athlete, someone who you want to work with, and then we help you with the preseason, in season, off season, how to design a program, what it looks like, but with actual exercises. Where the CSCS is going to have their cookie cutter ones that you have to do. Well, what's your environment? We're in West Hollywood right now. What's your environment? What do you got? So if that's your gym, if that's your environment, you got to be able to program based off of the patterns of movement and the expectations with the acute variables, power, hypertrophy, strength, what it may be in your environment. So we challenge you to develop those programs. So when you leave, you could go to a coach, and we have strength coaches. We just had the guy from Jimmy G from Florida Atlantic. We asked them questions. We learned from them. You get the insights of what it's like to be a strength coach. Don't you think that's what you should be learning with the CSCS? Why aren't we having more of that? That's why we're here. We'll get you to pass it. All right, Chris, shut the hell up. Let's get to Megan. Let's learn about the CSCS. So what would be some pointers? And what would be some good studying habits and tips that you have for people that want to pass this test?
Yeah. Well, I think it was great how we did the calls and we broke down, like we said, the bioenergetics of the athlete and doing the programming, because there's a lot of those on this specific athlete is in season or off season. What's the most optimal thing that you would do for them? Or the nutrition ones that we do. Your client is fatigued, or your athlete wants to improve on performance. What would you change about their nutrition? Knowing the total amount of calories that they need, and then how you would switch the different macronutrients. And then definitely something that I probably should have done a little bit more, but you guys always stressed was the exercise technique, because there'll be a lot of videos on that and there's different things. And like you said, they do it a specific way. So you have to make sure you know how it is for the test, not just based on your own knowledge. But those would be like the big portions, I would say, that you definitely need to know. So knowing the proper in-season, post-season, even off-season a little bit, acute variables, and then the different macronutrient breakdown and what's like acceptable or what could make their performance better.
Absolutely. And so we have a registered dietitian who helps you all with calculations. We have those classes that are recorded. So they're live, but if you don't like my annoying ass, it's fine. They're recorded, so you can watch them at a different time. If you're back east or overseas, you can watch those calls whenever you like to. You can fast forward. You can just focus with Brock stuff. Brock is the instructor who really gets into the interior with the textbook. I do as well. We get into heart anatomy. We get into muscle physiology, bioenergetics. We have a professor as well, Dr. Chaliwa. He breaks down the physiology. We bring on Dr. Galpin. He gets into bioenergetics. We're providing a community that's allowing you to learn from the experts. I'm a strength coach. I did one of the best internships at University of Connecticut. I worked a lot with basketball players, football players, soccer. That was 20 years ago. I'm more Gen Pop now. So I would be lying as a strength coach to say, I'm the end all be all, let me help you. I brought on people who were better than me. Brock is 10 times smarter than I am. Great instructor. Dr. Chaliwa, professor. Dr. Galpin, we interviewed Dr. Schoenfeld. We bring on these people who are experts in their arena to help you understand, to pass this. But as a lot of this, as you will learn in these calls, you got to have the buy-in. Because if you're a strength coach and you go out there and you're working with some football players and you start talking about the sarcoplasmic reticulum and calcium at your opponent, they'll be like, shut the fuck up. I want to get faster. Help me get faster now. Watch that call with Jimmy G. He's a great example. If you don't have that buy-in, they're going to be working with someone else. So 6 weeks is all you need if you just listen to us. But if you go out there and you buy all these other movement systems and this one, bunch of nerdy shit, you want to be able to work with people who can get your athletes the results, but can also speak the language. Because if you don't speak the language, you're not going to get the buy-in. What would be some other pieces of advice that you have for anyone who wants to pass this sucker?
Sports psychology.
Sports psychology. All right. Mm-hmm.
I thought I said it wrong for a second. No, yeah, there's some stuff about that. And
what would be some big vocab words that you recall right off the bat?
The different validity versus reliability.
Brock breaks that down. It's chapters, I believe it's 11 through 13. that was his master's stuff. He's an expert with that. People ask me those questions, I say, I don't fucking know. Talk to Brian.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of stuff on that. Good. What else?
Yeah. It was intra, the other stabilities. There's the breakdown of like the basics of like myosin, actin. There's a lot.
Which one's smaller? Actin and myosin. Myosin is the larger one. Actin is the smaller one. And then you have acetylcholine. That's going to be the thing of starting through the neural branch and all that fun stuff.
What power is. They just even got basic questions about just the planes, like what exercises in this plane of motion, which we go over. Which
is interesting because we've had calls, and when you get into the online internship, and you'll see that it's not a knock to these people who are trying to take it, but it's those simple questions that could literally make you fail. Because if they're talking about your clients doing the chin up, Megan's like, okay, sagittal, it's flexion and extension, flexion of the elbow, extension of the humerus. Most people don't know the basics of movement. They don't understand orientation, superior, inferior. They couldn't tell you the muscles around the shoulders. So we focus a lot on anatomy. So those easy questions are just like, boom. And there's probably like 20 or 30 of those easy ones, right?
Yeah, I would say there's a good amount of like just eccentric, concentric, agonist, synergist, and like what muscle is during this movement, where it made it a lot easier for me taking just easily pass through and then spend more time on the other ones that maybe didn't know.
Mm-hmm. The definition for power is force over velocity. But a lot of times they will do force times distance over time. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple of variations of the definition of power. So know them both, because and it's simple too, because you get 3 answers and they'll just literally say, what is the definition of power? It's a very simple question. And that's a check mark. You should absolutely 100% get that. And the thing I don't like about standardized testing, and this is something that we are working on to change in the industry. That's our ultimate goal, to change the fitness industry, strength and conditioning. If Megan were to fail, she'll get a percentage, but she doesn't know what she failed, what questions she did well on, and which ones she didn't. She passed. Awesome. High five. Not to be a dick, but what did you get right? What did you get wrong? You don't know. So she could be leaving that and saying, I crushed that test, and she thinks she got this variation right on a definition or whatever, and no one's going to educate her on, well, this is actually what's going on. Great, you passed the test, but now let's see you work with a group of 20 athletes. How do you train a group of 20 girls where you don't have much of equipment? What's your warm-up going to look like? It's outside, and you only get 30 minutes, and you got to do the whole thing. So we teach you how to pivot with the environment that you're given. And you do not need, people are going to get their panties and jock straps in the bottle, but you do not need your CSCS to work with athletes. If you listen to our call with Jimmy G, he wanted to work with elite teams, LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss. Yes, they will screen you specifically based off the CSCS. You don't have that, they won't call you back. He got it, they called him back. If you want to work at that level, you need it. If you want to work with a local high school, if you want to work with a kids team, you need to understand movement. You do not need a CSCS to work with them. You need to be competent in movement, how to screen, implement workouts and programs that are appropriate. You're not hurting kids. And that's what we'll teach you. Do not, I repeat, do fucking not go out there and get ISSA sports thing or NASM's PES. That I used to teach bullshit. It's not nearly as qualified as this information. So you can go through our program even if you don't want to sit for the CSCS. We will teach you the material out of the CSCS, which is legit, that you can use in your career. And if you have the right networking setup, you could potentially, that's my goal. I want to get someone into those higher ranks without their CSCS, but they're competent. And I'm very confident that we're going to do that. What else, Megan?
They had a couple with like just eating or disordered eating disorders, anorexia, bulimia. So knowing the difference between those.
What's the difference?
Anorexia is like, well, they both have like they're going to exercise a lot. Anorexia, predisposition of how their body is, versus bulimia, you're like eating, but you're throwing up. So that they try to trick you with that one, having the same thing, but then the tooth and animal would be with like for bulimia.
So binge and purge, bulimia, and then anorexia is more of a psychological due to body dysmorphia.
They did, I already mentioned the positive self-talk. Oh, they did a couple with positive versus negative punishment enforcement. which if you know the difference, it was super easy, but if you didn't, it could confuse you. D training was on there, and super compensation.
All part of general adaptation syndrome, your alarm reaction, super compensation, and overtraining, detraining. I want to incorporate that, how it looks in a program as well. Did you get a lot of stuff on like the athletes? So you have a 120-pound athlete, she's a volleyball player. Here's your bench press. Here's your vert. Here's your VO2 max.
Yeah, I got a lot of those, like breaking down like what they did, what they need to work on and improve, as well as like what tests that you could do. I think that was good. And the order of it, I got a couple of questions on the order.
Definitely. Those are things that we focus a lot on in the class, because I find a lot of dudes mess up with the hunkettes. A lot of hunkettes mess up on the bros, because Megan's unique because she's strong as shit. And she's benching 160 plus. She's back squatting a lot when her body's good. But, if you are thinking like, I can only bench 65 pounds, the bar and tail on each side, and it says that your athlete's bench pressing 95 and she's a volleyball player, you're thinking, wow, that's actually pretty strong because I only can do 65. No, it's actually fucking pathetic. That's going to be 60% in that range for that athlete. And so guys will think, 135, that's light. I'm doing 315 for reps. 135 for that's actually not that good. No, that's extremely well. So knowing the differences in a defensive lineman versus a quarterback versus a cross country, not only the weight, but also the times for pro agility, the mile times for endurance athletes and VO2 max, all of that stuff we focus a lot on.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing too, that which made it easier being able to recognize how he said like the 50th percentile and see like, oh, they're okay here, but the biggest thing for the test was what's the most that you have to, or the most important, or the first thing that you should do. So there might be two right answers, but being able to determine what's the most one that you should do first, I guess.
Right. And Megan's going to do a much more politically correct, happier YouTube on this, and you don't have to hear my annoying voice. So if you are already tired of me, you can click over there, listen to what she has to say. Most importantly, if you do fail the CSCS, you are not a bad person. You're still awesome. Look in the mirror, give yourself a wink, say you're a hunk, you're a hunkette, because this test does not define your career as a strength coach. It's one small hurdle. The other things, listen to our call with Dr. Galpin. As a strength coach, the answer is always what, Megan?
It depends.
Nope, that's if you're teaching people, yes. But as Dr. Galpin says, the answer is always yes. So if you have an opportunity that's 3 hours away and someone says, come out here and intern, you're there. And you're going to get there 2 hours early. And you're going to fucking mop the floors and clean up gun and look in the toilets and make sure it's clean. You will do anything and everything. You will hear people say it's a saturated market in strength and conditioning. I disagree. It's saturated with a bunch of people who have their CSCS, sure, but they don't have the work ethic. They don't have the passion to really do this. They're thinking, I played soccer. I want to do soccer. That'd be kind of fun. Oh, I have to wake up at 3 a.m. You're going to be there from 5 and you're going to be the last person to leave. And you're going to do that for numerous years. And if that right now is scary to you, being a strength coach at a high-end level is not for you. You're not going to make it. Because if you want to be the head strength coach of Alabama, Texas, volleyball, football, whatever it is at that level, in the professional level as well, you're going to live that life and you'll be there 7 days a week. And you're not going to get 4 weeks of vacation. It's going to be, you're living that and breathing it every single day for the rest of your fucking life. And it's going to be awesome. And that should boil your skin because that's what you want to do. Hopefully this was helpful. I know it was, because you will pass the CSCS. Don't get hung up on it. 6 to 8 weeks is all you need. Check our website out, showupfitness.com. You will pass this. Promise. Any last words, Megan?
Yeah, just listen to what we say, honestly. Don't also overstudy too, like the day before of it, do what we say, repeat it and everything. Just be confident. Tell yourself you're going to pass. You'll pass. Have a good mindset.
Most importantly, show it up. Have a great day, y'all.